Welcome to the Show Me the Way podcast. I am your host, Andrea Miller, and I'm so excited to bring this show to you. Show Me the Way is a podcast dedicated to exploring the journeys of those who have faced adversity and found themselves on unexpected paths. We will have meaningful, thoughtful conversations about challenges we have faced and how we discovered and forged new direction. Prepare to be inspired and to uncover your own strength as you listen to relatable and motivating stories. Life has a way of twisting and turning, and we often need a fresh perspective to understand how to navigate. Let's show each other the way. This week on the Show Me the Way podcast, I had the absolute joy of interviewing one of my youngest guests, my niece, Marly Coons. And wow, does she bring wisdom beyond her years. At just 17, Marly has already walked through experiences that have shaped her perspective in powerful ways. When she was young, her parents divorced. At first, life felt fairly routine with joint custody. After several years and many experiences later, her parents attempted to reunite. But when that chapter definitively closed, life shifted. Marly began living full-time with her mom, seeing her dad and brother about once a week. Through it all, Marly has maintained strong, loving relationships with both of her parents. She openly acknowledges that she and her brother are very different, but she values the bond they share and the unique connection they've built over the years. One of the things that stood out most in our conversation is Marly's maturity. She admits she has often felt older than her age, but she now sees that as a gift. It's helped shape her resilience, her perspective, and her deep understanding that hard seasons don't last forever. Marly carries a strong work ethic, something she proudly attributes to her mom. Throughout high school, she's balanced multiple jobs, sports, friendships, family commitments, and somehow even managed to make it so she'll earn her associate's degree alongside her high school diploma in the spring. Her drive is undeniable. After graduation, she's excited to attend Ohio State University alongside her best friend, a new chapter she's stepping into with confidence and big goals. One especially touching moment from our conversation was when Marly shared about a recent English paper she wrote. In it, she reflected on how much she looked up to her cousin Nathan and the strength he's shown through difficult times. Watching him navigate challenges has given her perspective and reminded her that we are capable of more than we realize. That shift in thinking, choosing to see things just a little differently, can truly change everything. Marly's advice is simple but powerful. Remind the people you love, especially children, that they can count on you. That even when life looks different than planned, it will be okay. Stability doesn't always mean things stay the same. Sometimes it means knowing you're supported no matter what. This episode is a beautiful reminder that strength isn't about avoiding hard things, it's about growing through them. And sometimes the most profound wisdom comes from the youngest voices. I am so proud of the woman Marly is becoming, and I know you'll walk away from this conversation encouraged and inspired. Welcome back to the Show Me the Way podcast. Today I'm interviewing my niece, Marly Coons. Many of my guests have been women around my age, as we can definitely relate to one another, but I've also really enjoyed the opportunities to interview men, couples, and definitely younger people who have dealt with adversity and learned and grew from it. A few weeks ago, I was fortunate enough to interview my friend's son, who has definitely had his share of challenges. I've also been very blessed to have Nathan share his story from his perspective, and I also had my niece Jordan on. I strongly believe everyone has a story, and there's so much that we can learn from one another, no matter the age or the gender. Marly's mom, my sister Tony, was a guest recently too, and I loved chatting with her. And after, she suggested I ask Marly to join me. Marly is a senior in high school, getting ready to graduate and head to, yes, Ohio State University in the fall. She's a beautiful, hardworking, super smart young woman who has definitely shown her maturity from a very early age. Marly is finishing up school, working whenever she can. She played volleyball. She's got some great friends she's always around and makes time for. She's the older child and has often looked after her brother, my nephew, Boston. My sister and Marly and Boston's dad have been divorced for many years now, but Marly has maintained positive relationships with both parents, even though she lives full time with her mom. I look at her as such a strong and brave person, and I love our conversations. I'm so excited to talk to her. So thanks for being here, Marly.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I think everybody has had a story. I've shared a few times on this show that when I was your age, I didn't really deal with a lot of adversity. But I also don't know that people talked about it much back then anyway. Like, even if there was, somebody was sick in our family or somebody had an accident or somebody went through something, I don't know that we really talked about it anyway. So I don't know. Life's very different now than it was back then. It just seemed like it was simpler. But yeah, so yeah, I'm sure we can learn from you no matter what you share. But before we jump in, I always give my guests a chance to talk about themselves. I know I just shared a lot about you, but is there anything that I missed that you want to share?
So I'm a senior. You said that. I live in Sydney. I'll be graduating high school with an associate's degree from our community college. I'm going to Ohio State to major in psychology in the fall. I work two jobs. I work at a smoothie place and a tanning salon, and I've been working a lot.
Yes, you're busy.
Um,
That's
I
good.
play volleyball.
Yeah, yeah. How many years did you play volleyball?
I played probably like 8 or 9 years.
Wow, yeah, and so the senior season ended, what, in the fall, and that's
Mhm.
it. No more volleyball, unless you, like, I don't know, just join a club team or something.
Yeah,
Yeah. Okay, cool. And you decided on psychology to start. That's good. I think that's really interesting.
yeah.
What made you kinda look that way? What interests you?
Okay, so I love like true crime and like
Mhm, I do too.
documentaries. And so I really wanted to do like forensic psychology or like criminal psychology, but that's more of like a master's program. So I'm just going to major in psychology right now, and then if that's something I still want to do, I'll go back and I'll get my master's, but that's just like it's just a good thing to have.
Yeah, that's a great
Yeah.
idea. I love that. I'm the same as you. Interested in all of that too. Cool. Yeah, and two jobs. You're really busy with that. And I want to hear more about this associates thing. So, how did that happen?
So our high school offers college credits, and a lot of people don't do it, but I was getting a lot of credits my sophomore and my junior year of high school. And so then randomly one day I just decided like to see how many credits I would need to get my associates. And you only need 60 credit hours to get it from Edison, which is our community college. So this year I've been pretty packed with classes just so I can get it, but yeah, all of my like credits adding up didn't make it like too bad my
Okay.
sophomore and my junior year.
Wow. And I'm interviewing you today at noon, so you're not at school. So
Yeah,
that means too that you're not there all day, right?
correct. I only go there from 8:18 in the morning to 9:14. I'm only
Oh
there for
wow.
one period.
Oh wow. Okay. Cool. That's really neat. That's awesome that they have that program because you're gonna be way ahead of the game. So
Yeah.
that's awesome. Good for you. Well, yeah. Like I said, I love chatting with Marly. We don't get to see each other that often. Sydney, Ohio. So she lives in Ohio. My sister, if you were listening to the episode that she was on, she lives in Ohio and she's been there ever since my parents got transferred when I was just a couple years older than Marly and Tony was Marly's age. And my dad decided that he was moving the family to Ohio and the first opportunity he had to come back to Michigan, where myself and my other sister were, and the rest of his family, he came right back. And Tony decided to stay there and just made a life and has been in Ohio ever since. So that's why Marly is there. I'm a big U of M fan over here. It's a big U of M household,
Yeah.
and we don't really love Ohio, but we love our family in Ohio. And we're very, very proud of Marly for getting into Ohio State, and she's going to be a Buckeye. We don't love that, but we're really proud of her because that is an awesome school to go to. So,
Thank you.
so congratulations for that. We'll be happy. We just probably won't wear the colors.
I understand. So
So that's great. Awesome. And hey, you don't play football. So that would be a whole nother thing. If you were a guy playing football, I don't know, but it would be pretty exciting to do that too. So great. Okay. So yeah, Marly knows that I started the Show Me the Way podcast because her cousin, my son Nathan, was diagnosed with Duchenne muscular dystrophy when he was 5 years old. And as I was telling Marly before we got on, I didn't really deal with a lot of adversity as a child. My parents were married, they're still married. We stayed in the same area for a really long time. I went to the same Catholic school from kindergarten through 8th grade, and then I went to a public high school. That was a big change, but still, I wouldn't say it was anything major of adversity that I had to go through. And, we had some relatives that passed away. If I was older, I probably would have maybe understood that a little bit more. Now looking back, I say, oh, wow, my aunt dealt with this and my uncle dealt with that. But when you're young, you don't really think about that. I didn't go to too many funerals as a child. And I had both my sisters. I don't know, things just kind of went along. I was saying to Marly that I don't think back then we all talked about adversity that much. But yeah, I just felt like kind of a boring life, which is fine. Sometimes boring is fine. I met my husband when I was in college and we got married soon after. And yes, my parents moved to Ohio, but they came back. So I really had a lot of continuity. I've never lived outside of Michigan and just always stayed here. So when my son was diagnosed with a disease I had never heard of, it rocked my world. I was like, wait, what? Things are going to look different than I had planned. And it took a long time to obviously understand what I hate saying this, but our new normal looked like. And just thinking to myself, oh, I have two boys, they're both going to play soccer. And then saying, wait a minute, no, they're not. Or thinking that they're going to follow along in some particular path. And then that just really changed. And so I've learned so much from that. I've imagine myself more in the present than the future than I ever used to. I don't know, Marley. Do people ask you what your 5 and 10
Yes.
plans are? Yeah. And now I'm like, I don't know. It's 5 days. Like,
Yeah.
how does the week look? That's about
Yeah.
as far as I go. So it's good. It's good at your age to plan. I totally get
Yeah.
that. Just like you were saying when you were talking about, the master's program, will you do that or won't you? But
Mhm.
you're right though. You don't know what tomorrow looks like. You might get into the program and be like, I want to do something else. Or you might get a job right away and say, this is what I want to do. I'll get my master's later. So it's good that you're already thinking that way. I think sometimes it's really hard to have this whole plan set up for you. I used to think that way, but not now. Now your life can change tomorrow.
Yeah.
Now I know you're 17, so you haven't had
Yeah.
too many major things, but I just thought you've been through some things and we would just chat, kind of see where we go. I always tell my guests there's no script. You just speak what's on your heart. So with that, I don't know, I would love to just kind of hear what's on your mind.
Okay. I don't yeah, I wouldn't say that I don't know, like, I am only 17. I feel like I haven't gone through much, but maybe more than some people. My parents were divorced, and then but they got divorced when I was young, so it wasn't like a huge adjustment because that was kind of all I knew growing up. And then we had split custody, everything was even. I lived with my dad and my mom, and everything we are just it was our new routine and it worked out completely fine. And then they tried to make their relationship work again, and that's when things started changing. We moved my dad moved to Sydney with us and we got a new house. And then after think just a couple months of living at this house, they decided that it wasn't working and they needed to split up again. And that's really when stuff started changing because I'm I'm pretty involved at my school, so I have like a lot of things in Sydney that I need to be here for and my jobs are here. So it just wasn't smart for me to try to split the time and live in Bell Fountain with my dad half the time. So and the same with my younger brother. He didn't have anything in Sydney, but he had everything in Bell Fountain. So we just kind of split up, and I've just been living with my mom. I mean, obviously, I still go see my dad, but it's like busy times. I don't see him as much. And same with my brother. My mom sees him like once a week. But I don't know. That was probably the biggest adjustment I've had to make was just going from seeing them the same amount of time, living in the houses the same amount of time to kind of not really seeing my dad as much now and my mom not seeing my brother as much because we live in different cities now.
Right. And when Marley says Bell Fountain, obviously Ohio, but it's like what, 30, 45 minutes away?
Yeah, it's about 30-35 minutes, yeah.
Yeah, so it's not a quick ride.
Oh,
And to Marley's point, I mean, I remember in high school, I wanted to go to sports games. I was on sporting teams myself. I had my friends, I had my
yeah.
job. So, yeah, it would be really hard to go back and forth, especially when they're that far away. So, I totally get that. Do you ever stay the night at your dad's house?
Not usually,
Do you have a
no.
room there? Do you
Yeah,
have a bedroom? Okay.
I have a room there, but I don't really like staying anywhere other than, like, my
Then your
room.
house. Yeah.
Yeah, in my house. And, yes, like, I have a room there, but I don't know, I just like being home more. But I will usually go there and, like, spend the entire day there and then come back, like, later at night. Or if I do stay there, I usually will stay with my best friend Olivia, who lives in Bell Fountain. I've known my whole life. I try to see her sometimes too, but she's also busy, so I don't know. Sometimes we see each other and sometimes I'll stay, but not usually, no.
Okay. And it does work out better now that you can drive. I mean,
Yeah,
that makes it a little easier
for
because then
sure.
you can drive yourself. But what is it like only seeing your brother every so often?
Um,
That's a loaded question, huh?
yeah, sometimes it's really nice because if we spend too many days together, then we just get really annoyed with each other and we don't get along. But sometimes, like, I do miss him and wish I could see him more because I went from seeing him every single day to seeing him maybe once a week. So yeah, sometimes I do miss him and I just like want to know how he's doing and stuff, but I try to go to like his basketball games and try to go things that are important to him and try to see him as much as I can, see my dad as much as I can.
That's good. So
Yeah.
talking about your brother, yeah, I laughed because I know when they do spend too much time together, they're very different. So sometimes they don't get along, but that's typical of siblings. So how would you describe your brother?
Um just just very different from me. I just he's just not as mature as I was at his age. He's interested in things that I'm not very interested in. I don't know. We just are different on a lot of aspects.
Love him. You love him deep down,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Would you agree with what I said that you've had to look out for him over the years?
100%. Yeah, because Boston, he doesn't really, I feel like, stick up for himself, and sometimes he doesn't have, like, a mind of his own and realize that he can make his own opinions and he can stick up for himself, and that's very much not me. Like, if I
No.
I'm going to say it. So there's been a lot of times I've had to, like, vouch for Boston when he doesn't do it for himself.
Okay, that's
Yeah.
fair. Now, I said it and you kind of said it. I think you matured at a young age, and I think there's a couple of reasons for that. One, you're the oldest.
Yeah.
That's how my older sister is too. I feel like she was always. We always joke, your mom and I, that our older sister wasn't around. We don't know where she was. We think she was working by the time
Yeah.
she was like 5 because we
Yeah.
don't remember her like playing or
Mhm.
just being carefree. We remember her being very like into work and very motivated, and I need to make money and I need to do all of this stuff, and not that
Yeah.
making money makes you mature, but I just feel like she kind of grew up really quickly. So when I say that, I mean, you said it too, so you obviously agree with me to an extent.
Yeah. Um, I I feel like I've always been pretty mature. I feel like I never really was like like super like a kid. And I think there are a lot of reasons, but it's just yeah, and this is like how another way me and my brother are different. Like he still is like a kid, which obviously, and
Mhm.
like he just when I was I think he's 4 no, he's
15,
15.
just turned 15, yeah.
Yeah, he's 15 now.
Last month he turned
Yeah,
15.
but when I was 15, like, I was working in my mom's restaurant, like, I was a waitress, but then also helping cook and also helping seat people, like, I don't know, like, it's just so different. He, like, is not worried about work, he just wants to, like, hang out with his friends, play video games, and, like, that just has never really been me.
No, not at all, and it could be a boy-girl thing too, but
Yeah,
yeah, I just think you've had to do that and kind of take
yeah,
charge and determine how you were gonna live your life pretty early on, so
yeah.
wow. All right. Well, you keep bringing me into you're like segueing so well here. So, yeah, your mom owned a restaurant. I would love to hear your thoughts on that. When I interviewed her, she did not focus on that at all. I think we could have like 3 or 4
Yeah,
more episodes. And
yeah,
we did not talk about her
yeah.
stint as a restaurant owner. So, I would love to hear your thoughts on it.
At first, it was a little frustrating because all of her time was there, and it was just hard because for me to understand, I was like, "There's just no way we're gonna own this. Like, you're gonna own this business, and how is it gonna work? All of this stuff." But then once it opened and I like started hanging out around there more, I loved it. It was just such a fun environment because there was never a time where it felt like work. I mean, obviously when it would like get busy and stuff and I'd have to focus and I'd have to work, like yeah, that was annoying. But like the people there were always great. Her friends were always around. It was just like if I didn't have anything to do and I wanted to go hang out with people, I would just go there. I really loved the restaurant, but it did cause my mom a little bit of some stress. So then I understand why she sold it, but I really loved it. It was fun.
Mhm. Yeah, it was cool. It was interesting to me because she and her husband at the time were physical therapists, and I thought,
Yeah.
"They're gonna open a restaurant."
Yeah.
But your mom has a really, like, smart business sense, like, in terms of maybe not all the details and specifics, but in terms of, "Yep, I'm gonna run this, I'm gonna work hard, I'm gonna make it work,"
Yeah.
kind of feeling in her like, that's how she is, that's how she's wired, and she's owned businesses before that, but, yeah, it was really interesting. It was great, though, to see you jump right in and serve tables, and you're right, you were pretty young, and you
Yeah.
were
I was.
great.
Yeah. Yeah, I kind of just being there a lot, I just like learned all of the positions and they would just be like, "Can you help me with this?" And I'd be like, "Yeah." And so then I ended up just learning it all and could really help out anywhere.
Yeah, but no desire to become a restaurant owner yourself.
No. No, none.
So when you say that your mom was stressed, did you like witness that and kind of feel it a little bit too?
Yeah, I witnessed it, but I wouldn't say I felt it because then I would just get mad at her and I'm like, "It's not a big deal. Like,
Yeah.
why are you grumpy right now?" But, like, as I, like, grew up and started, like, understanding the things that was going on with her, then I was like, "Oh, I kind of feel bad for, like, getting mad at you for this." But, yeah, I started to understand it more as I was growing up and as I was there more and, like, hearing everything that was going on, but at first, I was just like, "Oh, no, this is just a fun place to hang out. Like, why are we stressed?"
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's good because
yeah,
that's probably what she would prefer. You
yeah,
remember? And yeah, it was a restaurant named after Marley's papa's grandpa. So my dad's grandpa.
mhm,
And it was called Emilio's, and it was in Sydney, Ohio, so very close to where they live, and really good Italian food and pizza, and it's kind of a shame that it didn't work out, but I couldn't agree more with what Marley said. It was very stressful, as business ownership is, and then it didn't work out for, as you know, if you listened to Tony's episode, didn't work out for her and her husband, so then they went through a divorce, and there were just all kinds of issues, and so she's in a much better place now that she
yeah,
doesn't own the restaurant, but I also think too, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm sure that it taught you that you can try new things and you can
yeah,
go after dreams.
for sure, because that's not anything I would expect from my mom is to open an Italian restaurant. That is just was never really talked about and not anything that had to do with physical therapy, which is what
Right.
she does. And but it was successful for a while. It was good, and then yeah, so it definitely did teach me that I can try new things, and if they're hard, like just to keep trying because it might work out.
Yeah, for sure. So that's good. I like that part of it. Yeah, I was talking to my other son, Nick, over the weekend. Actually, I was just telling Marley he came home for the first time in 6 weeks. I was making a huge deal out of it. I think I said 6 weeks like 47 times while he was home because I was just so surprised it's been that long. Yeah, I'm used to having him around me. And so when he went away to school, it was a really big change. But I was telling him he's talking about what he wants to go into and what he's studying and potential internships and what he might want to do. And I said, I want you to find a middle ground. His dad is a little more conservative, more cautious, more, I don't know if we should take risks. And
Mhm.
I'm like, try it. Why not? See what happens. And I want Nick to find his way to the middle, to have a little bit of that. Like, let's go after opportunity. Let's try things, even if we're not sure what they look like. But then also make sure you bring in your brain a little bit and assess the risk and
Yeah,
determine if you're going to make the right decision. So I really like that you saw that at a young age because I don't want you to be afraid to try new things. And the biggest thing when I went to school was you can change your mind.
yeah,
When I went, I was like, "Oh, I'm screwed. I don't wanna do this anymore." And I took a couple classes I shouldn't have taken, and, I really didn't think about it that way at your age. I was like, "If I do it, I have to do it. If I make this decision, I've gotta move that way." And you can change your mind. You can say, "This isn't what I wanted." Nick has a lot of people at his school that changed their mind and decided to go to another school. So, it can be hard, but it's okay to assess the situation and do what's best for you. And back to the 5-day plan as opposed to 5-10 year plan
yeah.
or 5 to 10 year plan. So that's my little insert there. So let's see. You're going to Ohio State and you'll be living there, right?
Yes, I
And
will.
that's how far away?
It's like about an hour and 30 minutes away from here.
Okay, I always thought it was closer. Maybe when your mom drives, when my sister drives, it's closer.
Yeah, it's probably like an hour then.
Just kidding. Okay, so what made you want to go there?
I just love the school. I know you guys don't like it.
Well, let's be fair. I've never been to the campus.
Yeah. No, it's really I just wanted to go to a bigger school. I'm just ready for a change. I'm not a huge fan of, like, the small town, everybody knows each other
Oh
vibe.
my goodness, and that's where you are.
And yes, and that's where I am, and I was just ready for a big change. And I just feel like it's going to open up so many new opportunities for me. Like if I went to a smaller school, I feel like I wouldn't have as many opportunities in stuff as if I went to a bigger school. And I don't know, when I went on the visit, I loved it. It was such a pretty campus. It's big and I have friends there, so it'll be like good to have people that I know. I'm going to room with my best friend Tatum. So I'm excited.
Cool.
Yeah,
And what do you think about living away from mom?
I'm excited.
You're ready for that, huh?
Yeah.
Well, you know what? Our kids are always more ready than we are. What's
Yeah.
funny is your mom was always she's always said to me, and she'll laugh when she hears this, but she's always said, I haven't had my kids all the time. It hasn't been 24/7, so it
Yeah.
won't be as stressful or as sad or emotional for me. Plus, you're more emotional anyway. But this year, senior year, she's starting to see it. Now, she's right. I get a little over emotional sometimes and maybe make a bigger deal out of my son being gone, but she's starting to see a little bit that she'll
Yeah.
miss you while you're gone. But you seem to have a great relationship, so I'm sure you'll talk
Yeah.
often.
I just don't really, yeah, she does. She hasn't, like, until I started living here full time, she never had us the whole time. So I can see that, but we also don't really see each other much now when I live here because I mean, we both work during the day and then she like goes and plays pickleball or goes and does whatever. And then I am usually hanging out with my friends or I'm still working because it depends on where I'm working at. So we really never see each other much at all. So I feel like it's not going to be a crazy adjustment. Me
Yeah,
going
my
to
friends and I say that. You
yeah,
kids prep us. You prep
yeah,
us by starting to do your own adult
yeah.
stuff. Well, good. So what do you think about rooming with your bestie?
I'm so excited.
Yeah.
I don't know if I could have gone to a bigger school and not had a roommate that I already knew. But we were both so excited when we saw that we got in and we knew immediately that we were gonna room together. And I just can't wait. We're already picking out cute stuff for our dorm.
Yeah, girl dorms are a lot different than boy dorms.
Yeah,
I think I did all the shopping myself, like even picking out like the bedding and stuff. He had
yeah.
nothing to do with it. But girls,
We've started looking at stuff since like the beginning of our junior year
oh, that's so
for our
funny.
dorm. Yeah.
And you have Pinterest boards and
Yes,
whatnot.
we do. Yep.
That is so funny. Yeah, his girlfriend, same thing. Her room is so cute. It has all these
Mhm.
little decorations, and his was like, should we put this flag up
Yeah.
or I don't know, maybe this picture? But it was way more like us. Although they have a house this year and they've done more. They do have a poker table right in the living room.
Oh,
So that was important. But yeah, they decorated a little bit more this year now that they
yeah.
have a house. But it's funny, boys versus girls.
Yeah.
Even getting back to what you were saying about Boston being different, boys versus girls, no matter
Yeah.
what, they just think
Yeah.
very differently.
100%.
So will you be working when you're there or are you going to finally like just focus on school? I know you've been working forever.
Yeah, well, I know well, my mom's like, "You have to work," and I'm like, I think I'm probably not going to work my first semester. I just think that would be way too much for me trying to adjust to a new school, new classes, a whole new life, basically, and then trying to, like, find a job and then work on top of school. I don't think I'd be able to manage that. So, definitely not first semester, but maybe second semester. Hopefully, I don't. The goal
It
is
is nice to have your money though, your own
yeah,
money, that's for
yeah.
sure. Yeah, to do the things that you want to do. So, well, cool. All right. Well, let's get back to going back and forth with your dad. You also see your grandpa then, right? Because they
Yes.
live
Yeah.
together.
Yes. I
So, what's your relationship like with grandpa?
I'm his favorite.
Does Boston think he's his favorite?
No, Boston
Oh,
knows
okay,
I'm
he knows.
yeah. So, well, whenever I go and visit, he gets really excited that I'm there, and then he just talks about the most random stuff for as long as I will listen. So, we have a good relationship, but, yeah, I just don't see him as much as I used to.
Okay. But that's good. I'm glad that you get to see him occasionally. Now, I don't know when it comes to your other grandpa or papa, my dad, he's got 2 girls. He's
Yeah,
got 2 granddaughters, so you have to share
yeah,
the love.
I know, and I know Jordan's the favorite.
She's
I've
the favorite in Michigan, right?
yeah,
Isn't that what he says?
yeah. I'm his favorite granddaughter in Ohio, so I'll
Yes.
take that.
Yes. Well, good. Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that, when I think about you and I think about what you have been through, you're right. Most, and I shouldn't say most, but not everybody your age has been through the back and forth with your parents or the thought that maybe they're going to get back together and then they're not together again. And now I see my dad occasionally. Like I was really thinking about that as your story. Sometimes when people come on here, they have a specific, like, on this day, this is what happened and it changed my life forever. And sometimes people just say throughout life, I've dealt with this and then I had to deal with that and then this. So I think that I've thought about that, but I also was like, there's other things that she's gone through. She's definitely had to get out there and work. That's very
Mhm.
important to your mom. She's a
Yeah.
hardworking person too. So you
Yeah.
really couldn't avoid that. And, if you're going to drive and you're going to go places and you've got a car, she wants you to be able to be responsible for those things. So some kids your age don't have to deal with that, right? Or their parents are like, oh, it's okay if you don't work. Do you
Yeah.
see that?
Yeah. I'm jealous of those people, but I do like feeling like I earned my money, and I do like that I have my own money and I don't have to, like, always ask my parents to send me money. I like that I can just spend the money that I earned.
Well, and do you think that it builds up your ethic, like your work ethic, so that it won't be as difficult in the future?
Yeah, I do think that. I think it is really I think people my age need to be working because, like, we are gonna go to college and then we are gonna have to get real jobs. Like, we
Yes.
can't just live off of our parents. I mean, most people can't. So,
Right.
I think that it's very good and it's taught me a lot when I've been
Yeah,
working.
definitely. And your independence,
Yeah.
which again, I think you've kind of had for a long time, but yeah, it's really good to see and it's great to see that you're kind of taking care of things for yourself. I mean, geez, you already have your associate's degree. Technically, you could go get a job that requires an associate's degree without even going away to school.
Yeah.
But you have some other goals. So, what do you think you'll do with that psychology degree?
Oh, no, I don't know.
You don't know? Just curious. I'm just curious.
Think about it a lot, but then I just always change my mind. Like, I
Yeah.
really have no idea what I wanna do with it when I get out of college, but I'm sure I'll figure out something out in my year
Hey,
of college, but
when I was your age, I didn't like I had no idea. I went to a community college the first year because I was like, "Wait, you want me to graduate high school?" Like I don't know. I just didn't even think about it. And
yeah,
I always took college prep courses just
mhm,
because it's kind of what I thought we were supposed to do. I kind of followed my sister
yeah,
and we worked. My parents were the same. They were like, "You've got to make your own money. You want to go on vacations, you want to drive a car, you want to go out, you're going to have to pay for it yourself." So I always had to work. And I just didn't really think about what I wanted to be. So I love when I ask people that because
yeah,
I'm like, when I was your age, I had no idea. In fact,
yeah,
I still tell people I don't know what I want to be when
yeah,
I grow up. So
yeah.
yeah. And then I transferred to another school. And when I walked in the door, they said, "What's your major?" I'm like, "What? I have to know that?" And they're like, "You're a sophomore. Yes, you do need to know that." So I actually decided to be early education, early elementary or preschool teacher. That's what I thought I was going to be. And
Oh,
fortunately, that didn't work out because I do like to talk, as you can
yeah,
clearly hear, but I just don't think that would have worked out at all for me. So, God had other plans, and I did a lot of other things, and now I'm podcasting and I'm a realtor. So
yeah,
you never know what the future
yeah,
brings. So I love when I ask that question. It was like I didn't know, so you don't need to know. Plus, you're going to take classes, and some things will spark your interest, or if you find teachers or other people that are in the different programs and you start hearing them, you might make some decisions with that too.
yeah.
So it's okay. No pressure on that one. So, well, good for you. I think though, it is funny. Your mom, she was like, "I'm going to be a physical therapist," like right away, and she
Uh,
never stopped. And I was not like that. She went right to school in the summer after her senior year, and then just never stopped and went
yeah,
on, got her associates, got her bachelor's, got her master's. Yeah, but then she became a restaurant owner, so you never know.
yeah, never know.
You never know. Awesome. Okay. Well, yeah, I don't I again, I wasn't sure that you were going to pick a specific point in time. You've definitely been through a lot, but I always ask my guests if they would love to share their perspective or any advice that they think they would give others. So, I'm going to put you on the spot again, but other kids your age or people your age, what would you tell them if their parents are divorced or if they have to be in a separate situation from their sibling or they don't see their parents as much, what would you share with them?
Probably what I would have wanted to hear was that it's all going to be okay. It's all going to work out because when I was like going through that time and I just didn't really see how anything good could come from any of this. And so a lot of the times, like, I was really upset and I just didn't think that it was going to be okay. I just thought something bad was always going to be going on. So I would just probably say that it's all going to work out and it's all going to be okay because that's what I would have wanted to hear when I was struggling with things. Yeah.
I respect that you say you just wanted someone to tell you that it was all going to be okay. Sometimes we gloss over the importance of that, but I think that is actually simple but good advice.
Yeah.
I think that also begs the question, do you feel like, and I think I know the answer to this, but do you feel like you can talk to your mom about, and your dad for that matter, about things that are going on in your mind?
I have a really good relationship with both of them. And I feel like I can tell them anything that I'm going through. I think I tell them both the like an equal amount of stuff. It just depends on the situation on who
Yes, that's
to hear
fair.
it.
Yeah.
But I really feel like I can open up to either of them and not like feel judged or like I'm thinking wrong. They're both pretty understanding and they make sure that like I'm okay, I'm doing good, I'm doing better. I feel like I can talk to either of them about anything.
Good, and that's what I was gonna say, that it seems like you can. I'm sure it wasn't always like that. I mean, I as I was growing up, sometimes I felt closer or more open to my parents than other times. So sometimes you're like, "They know nothing,"
Yeah.
which I think is what Nathan believes about me right now, but Nick seems to think sometimes I know what I'm talking about, I
Yeah.
think. But yeah, so I do think as you, back to your point, mature, you can understand that you could maybe better talk to your parents, but
Yeah.
and they're not always gonna be your go-to. You might go to your best friend for something, you might talk to your grandpa about something, you might
Yeah.
choose based on the situation, so that is fair. But yeah, I think that really gives me that perspective and lends itself to me sharing with listeners, "Hey, don't forget to create a situation where your child feels comfortable and where they know that they can talk to you about things." I think that's really important. So I'm glad to hear you say that.
Yeah, I think it definitely depends on the situation of who I would talk to about it, or
Yes.
I'd talk to them both about it, but yeah, I feel like I used to be when I was younger, I used to be more scared to tell them things just because I didn't know how they would react, but as I've grown up and things have gotten harder for all of us, I feel like they're just understanding, they listen, and they just don't make me feel bad about what I'm thinking.
That's good. Do you ever talk to your brother about how you guys are feeling or what you're going through?
Yes, I used to. We used to talk about it a lot more when my mom was still married to her third husband. When we lived together, we would talk about it a lot of like everything that was going on and what we wanted to see happen and like how we were going to try to make it better for ourselves. We would talk a lot back then about everything that's going on. And now there's still times when I see him and I tell him about things going on in my life and sometimes he'll text me about his girl problems and and
That's good.
so we talk sometimes but just not as much as we used to.
Okay. I guess I just kind of wondered because I'm not around you guys all the time. And just, does, do you think that he knows he can come to you?
Yeah, for
That's
sure.
good.
Yeah, he's come to me about things that like he is like don't tell mom and dad like
We won't put that on this podcast.
no, but yeah, he definitely comes to me with things that is going on with him that he just feels like he has no one else to talk to about, which I appreciate because I mean, we don't see each other much, so it's like not like on the top of his mind that he can talk to me, you know?
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah.
But that's really good to hear, and not that I wanna put all the weight of the world on your shoulders or put all the pressure on you, like, "Hey, you've gotta be this person for
Yeah.
him," but I do think it's important to have that sibling connection. I was in the middle of 2 girls, so, even to this day, it's just nice to know that I've got the sibling love and
Yeah.
these siblings that I can connect with, so I'm glad to hear you say that even if you don't get along the greatest all the
Yeah.
time because you're so different. I
Yeah.
like that he knows that, and again, I don't want you to have the weight of the world on your shoulders, but it's important for him to understand that because I think you're right. I think you're more outgoing, you're more open, you're more mature. Of course, you're a couple of years older, but to be able to provide that for him, I think is
Yeah.
awesome. So, well, good. Well, I think you gave us some pretty good perspective, and I really liked that piece of advice. I think mainly for the people my age that need to hear it about our kids. Like we need to make sure our kids know that there's a safe place, that things are going to be okay, and that they can get through hard times. Nathan and I always say everything's figure outable.
Mhm.
One of my friends is like, "You need to, like, make shirts that say that," but I can't take credit. There's a book named that. I heard it from somebody else. I didn't make it up. But I think it's a really good made up word, figure outable, that there's always a way to figure things out. So I hope you remember all the stuff that you've learned and everything you've figured out so far and
Mhm.
allow that to help you as you get into college because you're gonna have a whole new set of things going on.
Yeah.
So yeah, and you even if you go to that Buckeye school, don't forget about your Wolverine fans here in Michigan and and
Mhm.
know that that you've got people that love and support you and that will be there for you even if you don't see them all the time. So you
Mhm.
need to remember that.
Yeah.
Okay, so before we end this, I would love to hear if you have any final words or another piece of advice or perspective that you would want to share with our listeners.
Well, it's just something about perspective. So I actually was just in my English class and I had to write this paper and I wrote it about Nathan.
You did?
Yeah, I can send it to you.
You
But
please do. Yes, I would love to read it.
and just about how he's taught me about perspective and how just changing your perspective even slightly can completely change a whole situation because a lot of the time I feel like when things are tough, we just dwell and like we're upset and we feel like nothing good is happening around us and it's only this bad situation and that's we put all of our attention and our focus on that. And I feel like sometimes if you just change your perspective even a little bit, you can start to see maybe even good things that come out of the situation you're in or things that can help you in your situation and just make you feel a little bit happier, a little bit more joy. And that's something I've learned from Nathan. But yeah, I feel like that's just something about perspective that I've just been thinking about.
Well, I think that's perfect, and you're going to make me cry. Yeah, I think it's amazing. Some of these younger people, I know I keep talking about young versus old, but the way that you look at life, it just makes me feel good, or it just reminds me that there's different ways to look at life, and at such a young age to already have that mindset, I think is awesome. Because again, I don't know what I was thinking when I was your age. I did not have the head on my shoulders that you have on yours. So I would love to go back to her and be like, listen to what Marly is saying at such a young age, so wise, and you're right. I post a lot of quotes and things in my Instagram, and a lot of it has to do with finding the joy or waking up and finding the positive. I'm trying to get more and more into my faith as I'm getting older. And I try to remember to be grateful every morning or to say, thank you for allowing me to get up. And I could say, geez, Nathan broke both of his legs last month and it's been a pain in the butt. And here I go having to do all these additional steps to take care of him. What a pain. Or I can say, thank you, God, for allowing me to wake up to take care of my son today. So I'm trying to change my perspective like that. So I appreciate you saying that. Again, at your age, I probably wouldn't have said anything like that. I would have said, oh, this is a pain. This sucks. I don't like this. I don't like that. But if you can just change one little thing or make it more positive, or I tell him to breathe in through his nose and breathe out through his mouth and try to just not dwell on the negativity and just think it might be better than I thought, or this might be easier than I thought. So I appreciate you saying that he inspires you that way. And I'm going to turn around and say, Marly said this about you. So you have to remember it too. But I do love that he gives that perspective. What he has been through and how he continues to get through his day has taught so many of us. I think it's taught our whole family. You are not that much older than him, so you
Yeah,
don't know a life without him,
right,
really.
right.
We know what it was like before we had to take care of him or before we had someone who had these additional needs. Like you have to park in the handicap, you have to look for more space, you have to make sure there's room for me. And I'd never thought about that stuff before. But
Yeah,
you've always had, same with his older brother, you've always had that in your mind. Like, I have to take care of Nathan. What does Nathan need?
yeah.
And you've
For
seen his outlook on
mhm.
life from the very beginning. So I really, gosh, I really appreciate that. And that's great that you wrote. I would love for you to send that to me.
Yeah,
That's
I'll
great
send
that
it
you
to
wrote
you.
that. Awesome. Yeah. And then I want to also say too, I keep talking about the guest I had on a couple of weeks ago, Tanner. He talked about not dwelling on the past, and you kind of just said that too. And so that's another really great piece of perspective that I want to highlight. I've done that my whole life. Like, oh, 3 months ago, 6 years ago, when I was 5, you look back and you dwell on these things. And it's like such a negative place to be in. If you go back and you only think about the bad things that happened in your life and you don't look past that, it's really hard to find positivity and joy in the present. And so his reminder was be in the present, think about that, and then look forward to the future. So it's another thing when I talked about earlier with Nick meeting his dad and me in the middle. Again, maybe don't dwell on the past. Sometimes I'm too much in the present. Sometimes you do have to plan and you do have to. So
Yeah.
you can still create your 5 and 10-year plans, Marley. That's okay. But just know that they might change
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
be open to that. But for me, he was a good reminder for me. Don't dwell on the past, like look toward the future. And I said, well, let's kind of meet in the middle. Try to be as present as you can. Look to the future to plan and to make sure that you're doing the things that you want to do. But you can only look so far. So those are some good things. And yeah, not dwelling on the past and really looking forward and finding the beauty and the joy every day. That's really good. All right, I've talked a lot. Is there anything else we missed that we need to hear from the beautiful Marley?
I don't think so. I think we've covered a lot.
We did. We did. I
Yeah.
knew we would.
Yeah.
Well, just know again, I'll get mushy. We're so proud of you. Yes, we tease that you're going to Ohio State. You'll never hear me say the Ohio State. So
Yeah.
don't start saying that around me.
Yeah, I'll try.
But again, really difficult school to get into, and you and your best friend got in, and we're so proud of you both. We love Tatum too. She's like part of our family. So we're very proud of you. Even Uncle Ryan, who is a bigger Wolverine fan than me, is super excited for you. And we just wish you the best. And yeah, we've got a lot more celebrating of you this year. So looking forward to that. I cannot believe you are graduating high school. That's great.
I'm so excited.
Yeah, it seems like it. And just keep doing what you're doing. You're gonna do big things. I know that you're gonna be really successful. You're gonna make your own path. That's
Yeah.
for sure. So well, Marley, thank you so much for being a guest and just having this fun conversation today.
This was so fun. I loved it.
Good, 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 good. I can't wait for others to listen, and you'll have to share it because, like I said, we just want to keep growing the audience.
I will.
Everyone has a story, all ages. So, and we can all learn from one another. That's
Yeah.
for sure.
Yes.
All right. Thank you. Thank you for joining me for the Show Me the Way podcast. I truly appreciate you tuning in to today's episode about overcoming adversity and finding your path. I hope it brought you new insights, empowered you with perspective, and inspired you to find joy in your journey. If this episode touched your heart, don't forget to leave a quick review as it will help us reach and motivate more people. Until next time, keep seeking the light and showing the way.